Around the Ozarks is now on your FM radio. Listen to Around the Ozarks mornings with Grace Gooley as I spotlight local people, stories, and podcasts, all while playing the country legends of the 90s and the hit makers of the 2000s. It's on the Ozarks' best country, 105.1 The Bull.
You're listening to The Real Deal Conversations, a podcast designed to encourage, inspire, and equip you by sharing real stories and meaningful conversations that bring real life to the surface. I'm your host, Megan Deal. Let's dive in. This episode is brought to you by Ozark Veterinary Clinic. I am with Jami Glenn this week. She is an emotional wellness coach for Sacred Ground Coaching, which is that's yours. So you don't work for it, it's yours.
Correct.
And also has a podcast called Emotions with Ease.
Yes, that's been so fun, a fun project.
I am super pumped to have you on. I reached out to Jami Jami, I had commented and you're like, hey, I got this. So she's actually going to help us with different dialogue that we can do with our teens. I have a 16-year-old who just started driving, a 14-year-old and a 9-year-old, and then one on the way, which is why I may be heavy breathing because I am due very soon. But, and so I was like, I need help. Like, I need help in these teen years. And I don't have a disrespectful kid.
Sure.
I have a teen who wants their independence. Mm-hmm. I have a teen who, and as he's our first, mm-hmm. and especially with your first, I feel, there's times, Jami, where, and this is new to me, this is a new feeling where I'm like, I'm not old enough for this. Like, I'm not old enough to handle this. And all of a sudden I feel like I'm the 16-year-old trying to navigate. Does that make sense?
It makes total sense.
Is that a common thing or is that like a weird thing?
No, that is a totally authentic thing. And there are times when I literally, like, I'm joking with my kids, but I'm like, who's your mom?
Yeah.
Truly, because it's like, I don't know how to navigate this.
Yeah.
And actually, I'm so glad that you're talking about this. We'll get into it. But I want to talk about that in particular. When those moments when we're looking at our kid and we're literally in our brain, we're like, Mayday, Mayday.
Yeah.
Like, who's the adult? I don't know what to do next.
Yeah.
I want to talk about those moments.
Can we start with that?
Of course.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So dive into it for me.
Okay. So I think a lot of times as parents, we want to pretend like we know what's going on, right?
Yes.
We want to give off the impression, especially to and in front of our kids, that we're the adult, we're in the driver's seat, we know what's happening. Mm-hmm. But here's the deal. There are moments where you are literally, your brain is like frantically trying to find the words, trying to find the consequence. And in those moments, it is 100% okay to name that out loud and to say, you know what? I don't really know what the consequence is going to be here. Mm-hmm. I'm going to need some time to think about it. Or I don't really know exactly how to parent a 16-year-old right now. I've never done it. You've never been 16. I've never parented a 16-year-old. Yeah. So we are learning this together. We are navigating this together. A lot of times, like a mom might be listening to that. A parent might be listening to that right now and think, oh, geez, there's no way. They're not going to respect me more. But it's the opposite, actually. Our kids know. Yeah. They can read our energy, and they're like, man, she has no idea what she's doing here. Yeah. Name that and make that a conversation of like, hey, listen, I don't actually know what's the next best step. It's totally fine. Yeah. Give me some time to think about it. I'm going to talk with dad, mentor, whatever, and I'll come back. I'll follow up with you and we can talk about this more. That is a totally respectful way to parent our teen, especially in those harder moments.
I'm really glad you said that because I did that last week.
Perfect. Tell me about it.
Well, I did it last week, but I also didn't know if I was too vulnerable. And you know what I mean? So I'm glad that you said that because it's reassuring. But Eli, I'm going to be very careful because I always try to very much respect my kids' privacy. So I'll kind of be vague, but Eli just got his license. Okay. And so we're trying to set these ground rules and we're trying to navigate, giving him freedom, but also knowing safety measures. Also trying to explain to him why these safety measures are in place, him wanting that freedom. And the thing is with Eli is he's so still respectful even when he's frustrated. Yeah. And sometimes, and you tell me if I'm blowing this out of proportion, but sometimes it worries me. And the reason why is because I don't want him bottling things up.
Sure.
So, but he is such a good kid. So I'm like, maybe it really is just Eli being Eli and saying like, Mom, I get it. Like, I'm annoyed, but I get it. And that's what he'll say. He's like, I'm really annoyed, but I understand. And in my mind, I'm like, but is he like really raging inside? Because I don't know, because he is such an inner kid. He's a very inner reflective, quiet. My 14-year-old, she'll tell me everything. Sure. The good, the bad, the ugly. She'll tell on herself. Yeah. She'll walk through it. And so I never have to wonder. I never have to guess. And so sometimes I'm like, is he being respectful, but really just like resenting me? I don't know. And so, but I am appreciative that I don't have a kid that explodes,
100%,
you know,
100%. But
I did tell him, because I could tell he was getting frustrated. I did tell him, I said, here's the deal, man. Because Daniel and I were also kind of changing the rules up as we're navigating, like, oh, well, you just showed us that you could actually handle that. So let's, I don't know. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And so I said, Eli, here's the deal, man. Like, I've never parented a 16-year-old before. Dad and I, like, you're our first child. Yep. And I said, Eli, the sucky thing about being the first child is we're all learning through you. And so, like, we're learning, you know, Ellie, Ethan, and, you know, Evie, when she gets older, we're going to have some groundwork of what worked and didn't, but it's not fair to you. And I get that. But at the same time, like, we're all just trying to navigate it together, and we all need grace. Yeah. Like, Dad and I need grace. You need grace. We all need the space to navigate this. And I've always been that way with the kids, but I've always kind of been like, am I being too vulnerable? Like, am I showing my cards? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's very real. That's very real. So everything that you have said seems very spot on to me.
Yeah.
So my question, though, is how is he responding? Like, when you had that conversation, you're like, Bud, listen, I have never parented a 16-year-old. Yeah. What was his response?
He's like, no, I get it. I know. He's such a, I'm telling you.
But you're second guessing yourself still?
I do, because I'm just like, is he just telling me that? Like,
okay.
Like,
so here's the deal.
I mean?
Here's the deal. Yeah. No, I totally understand what you're saying. My go-to tool for parenting is narration. Yeah. So I would say that. I would be like, so you have that conversation and you're like, listen, I've never parented a 16-year-old. And he's like, Mom, I get it. No big deal. Yeah. Right. But in your brain, you're like, wait, is it a big deal? Yeah. I would narrate that. I would say, listen, I hear you saying that it's not a big deal. Yeah. And I do hear you. And I want to believe you. Here's my concern just as your mama. Yeah. I'm a little concerned that you're just bottling that up and then you go to your room and you're actually not able to process it. And I know everyone processes things differently. And you even mentioned his sister, like totally different. That's the joy of parenting. Yeah. We get multiple kids with totally different personalities. Yeah. But just narrating that to him, having that conversation so that he knows, because also that's just an invitation. Yeah. Like, he might be like, yeah, I'm fine, Mom. Yeah. And also he knows that it's on your mind and that you're a safe place to go to when there might be something that does come up.
Because it's almost like it was just too easy.
Yeah.
Like that. Like, wait, that was too easy. So where's the shoe?
Okay. So then, all right. So when I'm coaching families, I talk about this framework. The metaphor that I use is an apple tree. Yeah. Every person is an apple tree. Okay. So when we think about our kids, the apples are the behaviors and the emotions that we can see. Yeah. Okay. In traditional parenting, all day long, we are like picking off these quote unquote bad apples. Yeah. Stop doing that. Don't do that. Do more of this. The problem with that, though, is that as soon as I take off one quote unquote bad apple, another one pops up. So the whole framework of what I do with families is to focus on the roots instead of the fruit. There are 5 roots. And they all begin with a letter B, because I'm a sucker for alliteration. It's my elementary teaching school days. Yeah. So the root that I'm hearing for you, though, is beliefs. That's the thoughts that we have on repeat. So for you right then, when you were like, he says it's fine, but then in my brain, I'm like, yeah, but is it? That is a thought. That's like a thought loop that you're in that like we would dive into and be like, okay, so you said specifically, it seems too easy. Okay, for me as a coach, I'm like, oh, that's a narrative that she's got. Yeah. So, and I think I love this conversation because I think it's so true for teens. We go into it as parents like bracing. We've heard the horror stories. It's like, oh gosh, the teen years. I mean, say to 5 people, say I'm raising a 14-year-old, probably you'll get 5 out of 5 eye rolls and like, oh gosh, those teen years are awful, right? Yeah. So we're like bracing ourselves. Yeah. However, I have found that when you can reframe those teen years, it is a wildly pruning stage of the brain.
Yeah.
Those adolescent years, there is so much brain development happening.
Yes.
And so it is not, when you're looking at your kid and you're like, holy cow, you are literally trying to ruin my life right now. That's not accurate. Your sweet kid's brain is going through so much construction during those adolescent years. It can feel like, hey, we are on a crazy roller coaster ride. It can feel like that. But there's very clear science that shows that those years, your kid is not choosing to be like this, emotionally all over the place.
Yeah.
We know specifically, there is a book that I absolutely love on this concept. It's Dan Siegel, and he wrote a book called Brainstorm, and it's all about the adolescent brain.
Really?
It's so good.
Okay, I'm
It's
picking
so
it
good
up.
and really, really practical.
Yeah.
He's uber smart though, so sometimes you have to read. For me, I wait, what did I just read? I have to reread it. So good and practical though. But he talks about how in the adolescent years specifically, there are two routes to the emotional limbic brain. There's a superhighway route, which is super fast. It usurps the prefrontal cortex, goes straight to that limbic system of those big emotions.
Yeah.
And then there's a country route, right? That's a little bit wavy. It doesn't go straight there. It veers into the prefrontal cortex beforehand. In the emotional years, Dan Siegel found this brain research finds that our kids typically choose the superhighway in the teen years, which is why it feels so emotional.
Yes.
And you're like, okay, I feel like you processed emotions better at the age of 10 than you are at 16.
Yeah.
That's because that superhighway, which is meant to do that. It is created and wired to do it that way.
Yeah.
But that emotional, they choose the superhighway. I shouldn't even say choose. The brain chooses the superhighway to that limbic system almost every time.
Okay, so I have a question.
Yeah.
And what you just said made me think of it. So when they choose those emotions, but you have a kid who is not emotional. So let me give you the two situations with Eli.
Okay.
And again, he's going to kill me. But so I'm being very protective, but also trying to be as real as I can while doing that. So we have Eli, being super respectful. Like the other night, there was some things that happened. And so I was just letting him know, the whys, the da-da-da-da-da. And he's like, and his response was, I'm really frustrated. He goes, I am frustrated, but I respect it. And I was like, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have that side. We also have the shutdown side.
Yeah.
So the shutdown side is where I can tell he's frustrated. No words are coming out. You can see it in his eyes. You know what I mean?
For sure. Yeah.
But there's no, I want to process this with you. Tell me what you're feeling so I can help you work through it. Tell me what you're feeling, again, that's how Ellie is.
Yeah.
And so then I get nervous as a mom because I want to protect him. And in my mind, the way I can protect him is by walking through whatever he's feeling with him, even if it's towards me.
Sure.
But he's shut down and he's like, no, and not giving me anything. So help me, give me perspective as a mom. What is healthy? What is not healthy? When do I need to stop trying to pull? And is it okay to just let him be in it?
It's a really good, real question. So kid dependent, right? So I would never be 6 months. Let him walk. There's not really a timeline, which is a bummer because if there was, it'd be super awesome.
Yeah.
But what I will say in those moments, our kiddos, their circle of influence is widening, specifically in that adolescent time, right? It started with you co-parent, maybe aunts and uncles, it was very small, right? And then that continues to widen in healthy development. So in those moments, again, I would narrate and just say, listen, I'm a processor and I get it that you might not want to process right now. It's totally fine. And also, I need to know who your people are that you are going to. That you are willing to talk to.
Yeah.
And also, if it starts to feel forceful, if he's like, Mom, I don't want to talk to anybody. Okay, that's totally fine.
Yeah.
I just need to know who's on your team. Yeah. Who do you look to when there is a time that you want to talk to somebody?
That's a great question.
So And having them name that, like, it's so important for our kids to be able to identify, like, who's a safe person on my team? Is it a coach? Is it a teacher? Is it like a co-parent? Is it whoever? But like, we got to be having those conversations with our kids. So let's say, who do you think actually he would say if you were like, tell me somebody on your team that you could go talk to if you wanted to?
Yeah.
Who would he say?
He has a couple close friends.
Okay.
And he does open up to Daniel Moore.
Okay.
Which I think is fantastic.
Yeah.
Being like the male leader.
Sure.
Still not, but I would say that he has a couple friends. Now
Cool.
I still need to ask this question, but that's what I would think.
Absolutely. Awesome. And then the follow-up question that I would ask is, okay, what makes you think that they are going to be a safe person to talk to about this? So then you're just like starting to really get his brain connecting the dots of like, well, because man, social development is so huge during these years. But we really need to be asking our kids those questions of like, okay, do you think what makes that peer safe?
Yeah.
And then he might be like, well, he's not going to tell anybody. Cool. So a good friend is going to keep stories that don't need to be shared. They're going to keep it to themselves.
Yeah.
Great. I love that. That is a really good friend thing to do. So just kind of coaching him through, it doesn't have to be me. It doesn't have to be mom.
Yeah.
And also I still want to coach you through who are your people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
think there's this crazy research out there that says that, well, and it's anecdotal. There's a couple of therapists that I follow, and one is a male and one is a female, and they work with kids and teens. And the male therapist has been doing it for like 25 years. And he said, when I work with girls, I will ask them, name 3 friends that your mom has. It's immediate.
Yeah.
Kate, Nanette, whatever, Lucy, right? When I ask the same question about the dads, it's typically like crickets. Like they're like, I don't know who my dad's friends are.
Yeah.
Because males stereotypically and evidence shows that it can be harder for men to create these meaningful lifelong friendships. That starts in childhood and adolescence. So I would love for your sweet little Eli to grow up with really meaningful friendships, right? Because women tend to know, again, this isn't like sexist. It's just like, this is what evidence shows.
Right.
Women tend to know that. And we're also very social beings. But those relationships, like not even just those, like he might not have the same friends in college and, adulthood, but the skill of making friends and keeping friends and really asking myself who are good friends, that starts in childhood and adolescence.
Yeah.
So those are the questions that I would be asking.
But I love that because those aren't questions I thought about.
Yeah.
Those aren't questions I would, I do going back to like, who does he have? Cam from North Point.
Yes.
So he's actually coming on the podcast to
I
talk
love
about,
that. He's a gem.
talk about why it's important to invest in, that generation. But I had texts. So Eli, just as he's getting older, like it's very important for me, for my kids, because I'm not stupid. I know I'm not going to be their person, although that's really hard for me, but that's something I have to work through. That's not something that they need to carry. But I'm like, you guys have to have a person that's
great,
older.
Yep.
Not just your friend. And so I had messaged Cam and I was like, Cam, here's the deal, man. Getting older, 16, driving, girlfriend, all the things. I need him to have a person. Yeah. And then I gave Cam the heads up. And then I told Eli, I said, here's the deal. I said, Cam loves you, man. And I said, again, Eli, you, girlfriend, driving, sports, everything that you're juggling, you have to have a person. And I said, so here's the deal. You're not leaving church today without going to Cam and setting a date for breakfast or lunch or whatever it is. I said, you're not coming home until it's done. And so they did. And then they went to breakfast. And it's not like they get together often because Eli is just like whatever. Cam does reach out a lot, though, to make it happen. Eli's just got to. But for me, that's really important.
Yeah.
To have someone who's older, still close enough in age that they're like
cool.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so I love Cam for that. But that is somebody else. Eli has to utilize it, though.
But look at you. I just want to stop there for a second because look at you already knowing, like in your mom gut, you're like, listen, it's not I'm not going to be the go-to probably.
Yeah.
And again, it's so hard.
It's so hard.
Developmentally appropriate.
Yeah.
It's appropriate.
Yeah.
Now, I will say though, so many times moms especially have a really hard time with this, right? Because we've just been the nucleus.
I know.
Right?
Yes.
But here is the deal. What I talk about with mamas is that we are still the emotional Wi-Fi. We are. And so we are still the safe place to land.
Yeah.
And while it can be difficult, I love what you did just by taking the next step. You weren't overbearing, you weren't over controlling, but you're like, hey, this is going to happen. This needs to happen.
Yeah.
Overbearing and over controlling would be, you have to meet with him once a week at this time, and I'm going to be in the booth next to you. Right? But you were able to just like connect the dots and be like, hey, listen, Cam's a safe pace person for you.
Yeah.
I want you to have somebody in your life outside of the house that you can check in with.
Yeah.
That is spot on, Megan.
And that is
Spot on.
like, not just a peer.
Right. Yeah,
You know what I mean?
for sure.
So what I want to do is we got some different situations.
Love it.
And you had mentioned that this is kind of what you do. Like this is you're very
Yeah, this is what I do. So I'm an emotional wellness coach for families. So I meet with the entire family on like, what I tell families is that I will help you get tools, tips, and scripts to help you move through these big behaviors and big emotions with ease, which is why the podcast is also called Emotions with Ease.
I love it.
Yeah.
Which is what we really need. I mean, we can have all these tools, but in the moment, coming up with what to say is very, because you're like, I don't want to traumatize my kid. Did I just traumatize my kid? I don't want to say too much. I don't want to say too little. So I think these scripts, I'm really excited about hearing what you have to say, just to give us all even just a starting point. Yeah. So what I did was I researched a few of the top things that parents have issues with their teens navigating. And so these 7, let me see what time it is. These 7 scenarios. Yeah, we got time. These 7 scenarios we're going to go through. I'm just going to give the situation, what parents are typically feeling, and you'll help us. You'll help us navigate this.
Let's do it.
Okay. So the first one we got is the curfew.
Okay.
And so say your 15-year-old wants to stay out until midnight after a football game. You've set a 10:30 curfew. Your teen says, everyone else gets to stay out. You're so strict. You don't trust me. This is embarrassing. They storm off. And there is a feeling of, parents feel guilty, second guessing, afraid of pushing them away. I'm going to let you know that's a big one of mine. A big fear of mine is pushing the kids away, but also needing to know like these boundaries are healthy, or pressure to loosen the rule. So what?
Okay. Number one, I want to lean into that, and we're not going to go like personal for you, but I do want to stop there. I always want to know what is the trigger for the parent. So when you just said like, that's a big fear of mine, like pushing them away. Okay. So my automatic question, and again, you don't have to answer this at all, because we can flip over to the other side. But I think for any parent listening, when identifying their triggers, like what am I afraid of? What am I afraid of? When I can name, because we all have fears, when I can name that fear, I then want you to ask yourself, how was that particular situation handled in my childhood? Yeah. Okay. Because here's the deal. Parenting can be so difficult because we're not only parenting our kid, we're reparenting ourselves, right? Oh, so our parents were doing the very best that they could. So there's no shame and blame. Yeah. They were doing the best they could with the resources they had. Now, fast forward, I'm doing the very best that I can with the resources I have. Yeah. But I also need to know most of those triggers are triggering because of something in childhood, not an event, but like how you were parented, right? Okay. So that's number one. Yeah. So I think a really good exercise for any parent is to literally just write down, like, what are my top 3 like triggers in this season of life? For me, it is like one of them is always running late. Always. When we are running late, that is a trigger for me. I know that that's going to put me in my emotional brain. We call it on my podcast, we call it the watchdog brain, because that's when the amygdala is barking and like danger, danger, danger. Yeah. So anyways, so write down your top 3 triggers. If you don't know, ask your kids. They'll know. They'll be like, oh, you hate this, this, and this, right? Okay, so that's number 1. Yeah. Number 2, let's talk about scripts. Yeah. Okay. So there's this awesome framework called nonviolent communication. I really hate the name. And honestly, the author hated it once it got huge. And anyways, but it's a great framework. Okay, how I help kids and parents like wrap their mind around it, I just call it the 4-step reset. Okay. So there's 4 steps to this script. First one is what happened. Factual, like you're a journalist. So let's say in this hypothetical situation, have you already set the curfew and the kid is mad about the curfew, or did the kid break the curfew? Which way do you want to go? It doesn't matter.
Let's do curfew's already been set.
Cool. So then he's arguing, right? So curfew's been set. We're going to pretend that you guys, you know, the parenting system, whatever that looks like, single parent, co-parent, whatever, you guys have sat down and laid the ground rules, because that needs to happen. We can't just, especially in a new season of life like adolescence, we can't just like randomly be like, okay, your curfew's now 10:30. Like it needs to have a thoughtful conversation around it, right? Okay, so you've already had that conversation. You say it's 10:30. Your kid comes back and is like, well, there's a football game. And you're like, sorry, bud, the curfew is 10:30. We've set it. That is the boundary, which is another one of the roots. That is the boundary that we have set. Okay, he freaks out and is like, you guys don't understand me, whatever. So you name what happened, the facts of what happened. Then you name, I felt. So the emotion, it doesn't need to be a long paragraph. It's just like one emotion. I felt like this. I need this. Here's what would help next time or right now. Okay. So let's like break that down here. So let's say that we'll go from the parent lens of it. Okay. So here's what happens. He storms off, goes into his room. I knock on the door, walk into the room. Hey, can we talk for a few minutes? Whatever, right? Like that's going to be your typical response. Okay, cool. I'm going to sit by him, sit on his bed, whatever. Number one, it is very vulnerable to kids to make eye contact during these conversations. That's why I always say, if you have to have, not always, but typically, like if you want to get information out of your kiddo, go for a drive. Go take them through Andy's, get them an ice cream. They're in the back seat or the front seat, and just go for a drive and talk.
So not making eye contact doesn't mean that there's something behind it, or that there's lying or just not.
Eye contact is okay. So humans are either in protection mode or connection mode at all times. Okay. Connection, the quickest way to connect to nervous systems is for eye contact. It is a very vulnerable thing for kids to do and for adults to do. But like my background is in school counseling. I was a school counselor. So anytime that I needed to have a hard conversation with a kiddo, I would always put like Play-Doh out or something for them to do with their hands, coloring, so that we could talk while doing something else so that they didn't have to make eye contact with me. Another thing, this is like a hack for you. We typically always have a jigsaw puzzle, a working, like, I mean, $750 is like our max. $1,000 is stressful. But $750 a piece puzzle out on our dining room table, that is the most meaningful time that I have with my kids, is when we are working, whenever, like throughout the day, at night, whatever. We're just like working on this puzzle, and they tell me all sorts of things, and I get to know what's happening in their brain, what happened at school 2 weeks ago. What do you think about that? And we're just like not even looking at each other. That is such a great way.
You know what? That's interesting, because Eli talks the most when we're in the car.
He does. So that's what I'm saying. Listen, if you in your mama heart, if you're like, listen, I don't like this, I feel like he's not processing with me. Go grab a treat and go for a ride, and just like go on like a country road ride. And just tell him that. Be like, listen, bud, I need a ride. I need the windows down, and I just want to talk to you.
I love that you said that about eye contact, though. Because I think for so many of us, we think not making eye contact means they're trying to avoid an answer.
It can be, but most of the time, I mean, I don't know about most of the time, but it could be that, like when they're shifty.
Right.
But no, on like this day-to-day stuff, eye contact is really vulnerable for kids.
Oh, that's so important to know. Because, you know, as adults, we just forget what it's like sometimes to be
100%.
You know? And so it's like being reminded of this stuff is like, oh. And I love that.
So, okay. So we're back to that moment though. Okay. So I'm not making eye contact with him unless he wants to, but I'm not forcing that. Then I will say, like, I felt. So in that moment, he has stormed off. I might say, I feel really sad right now. I need respect when you and I are talking.
Yeah.
What would help in this moment is if you and I could just have a conversation, level 2 voice, meaning like, hey, like low and slow, not high volume, high intensity. That's what would really help me right now. What do you need right now? So just that, like, here's what happened. Here's what I felt. Here's what I need. What would help? That framework is incredible. Yeah. When I first discovered this nonviolent communication, I was like, I'll try this out. And I do work at the Springfield Dream Center. And some of those sweet kiddos, they come from really hard places. And I am telling you, Megan, when I use that framework, it totally changes the entire atmosphere in the room. When a kid is super elevated and it's like, okay, this kid honestly might hit me right now, you know? And I use this framework. It is like, it's crazy. So 4-step reset. Here's what happened. Okay. Factual. This is going to be the hardest part for parents because you'll want to say you were so disrespectful when you did this. Nope, that's not facts. Even though you felt like it's true. And maybe they were disrespectful. They're not seeing it that way. Right. So literally, you said, you're trying to ruin my life. You walked upstairs and you slammed your bedroom door. Those are the facts. When that happened, this is how I felt. I feel really sad right now because I feel disconnected from you. What I need is respect in this moment. Here's what that's going to look like, or here's what that could look like. That conversation, I have just found it, when we have a framework, when we have a script, it helps keep us as parents in our thinking brain, not in our emotional brain.
The emotional, especially, okay, so I have a question with that. Say in the off chance they push back, they shut down.
Sure.
Okay. Do we chase? Do we give space? What do we do?
Okay. So it's going to be kid specific. You're going to go with your mom gut. Okay. So in that moment, let's say that my mom gut says, you know what, I really need to push in here. Like, he's wanting to shut down, but I really need to push in. Then the conversation literally might be, okay, so listen, I can hear that you're frustrated. I know you're frustrated. What do you need in this moment? So I'm prompting him with those questions. And then he might be like, well, I need you to let me stay late with my friends. Okay, cool. That's not the need though. What is your need? Like, are you feeling disconnected from your friends? Yeah, I am. We've had tests for the last 3 weeks. I haven't been able to see my best friend or whatever. I haven't been able to hang out with them. Okay, cool. Then what's another way that we can meet that need? Do you want to have them over for video games? Do you want, like, whatever? What does that look like? So that could be a route that I would go. This is the fun part about these like game plans. We can make the blueprint, we can make the game plan, but then we've got to make, plans for when it goes off course, right? So maybe I ask that. Maybe he's disconnected from his friends. Cool. I've got to decide, am I holding the boundary? And I will be totally honest with you. Sometimes you do hold it. Lots of times you hold it. And you're like, bud, it's 10:30. Here are the reasons why. We've already talked about this. It's a 10:30. It's a 10:30 curfew, period. Now, I am absolutely willing to try to get that need met in different ways, right? Also, though, when I say this, I'm always like, I know that there's going to be a parent out there that's like, this is ridiculous. But here's the deal. Just be open-handed about it. Also, I think it's one of our jobs as parents to teach negotiation skills. So you could also go the route if you are like, you know what, he has met his curfew. He has shown us responsibility. He's being respectful on the phone, off the phone, like all of these things. He's hitting all these marks. You know what? Do you care to negotiate this? And then he's like, yeah, I do want to negotiate this. I just want to do it. No. I need some good, solid reasons as to why you need your curfew pushed back to 12:30. And also at that point, you still don't have to do it. You're still in the driver's seat. You can still say, man, that was a really good point. Let me think on it for a couple of days. Or those are really great points. And also, I still feel like this boundary for this week, for whatever reason, like you've got the soccer tournament the next day, whatever, it's still going to be 10:30. And you can be frustrated. I would be shocked if you weren't frustrated by that.
Yeah.
Your kid is never, ever going to be like, Mom, thank you so much for holding that boundary.
Yeah.
I feel so good to hold that, right? No kid is ever going to say that. They might, like, when they get older,
Yeah.
they might be like, man, I pushed on boundaries.
Yeah.
Just know that's their job. Their job is to push on the boundary. It's our job to hold it.
Yeah.
Then, though, you can also hold it by also creating a safe space where they can say, like, here are the reasons why I think I should be able to go.
Yeah.
Cool. I want to hear those reasons.
Yeah.
And also, I'm still the parent.
Okay, I have two. So I have to add to that, and then I also have a question.
Yep.
So Eli, really Eli and Ellie, every Friday, if their grades are not at a certain point, then the following week they can't go anywhere.
Okay.
And then we check every Friday again. Okay, your grades are up. Now you can be free the next week to go do stuff.
Okay.
Well, Eli, so his grades the following week were still the same. However, we noticed it went from a C- to a C+. We also noticed that every day he was coming home and doing his work without us having to say, sit down and do your work.
Cool.
So we changed it a little bit and said, because he really works on praise and reward.
Sure.
And so we said, okay, here's the deal, man. We see that you're really trying. We see that the grade is still in that level. But the fact that we see you're trying so much, if you want, you still can't go anywhere. But if you want, your friends can come over here. And so, like, kind of loosening that a little bit. Again, this is just Daniel and I navigating, because we don't want him to feel like I'm trying. Like, it's obvious I am trying and I can't, and we don't want him to get defeated and frustrated. So we're also trying to find ways to keep the boundary, but show him that we see it.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Dr. Linda Truitt from Ozark Veterinary Clinic in Ozark. We have been taking care of animals from a Yorkie, cows, cats, with a full-service clinic that offers complete surgical services, hospital, boarding, and now we take care of exotic animals from parakeets, snakes, to even flamingos. Ozark Veterinary has been taking care of pets and farm animals for over 50 years. Stop by our animal care center now, specializing in exotic animals on East Highway 14 in Ozark.
If you've been putting off a cleanup because it sounds like a hassle, it doesn't have to be. With Little Green Dumpster Co., renting a dumpster is quick, affordable, and flexible. They're family-owned and proud to offer the most affordable dumpster rentals in the area without cutting corners on service. You pick the size, you set the timeline, they make it easy. Simple process, honest pricing, real customer care. Little Green Dumpster. Get started at littlegreendumpsterco.com.
If you're looking for the best place to get a great home-cooked meal, along with great service in the Branson and Kimberling City area, then look no further than Ma's Place Family Restaurant and Pit-Style Barbecue in Kimberling City. Ma's Place is known for their made-from-scratch meals. And don't forget about Bruce's Pit-Style Barbecue that is slow smoked so it will...
Mark, time's up!
Melt in your mouth. Ma's Place Family Restaurant and Pit-Style Barbecue in Kimberling City.
Yeah.
My other thing is, why do they struggle to understand boundaries, and why is it like natural for them to want to push back? What is that?
Okay. Let's talk about the first one first.
Yeah.
When you were talking about the grades and kind of like attaching the grades to what they can and can't do the next week. So I like to talk to families about, parents specifically, about the difference between principles and preference. A lot of times parents get really stuck in the weeds of preferences, and these are hills that we're going to die on. But then when we like take a step back and we ask ourselves, well, why is that so important? Like, what are we trying to teach here? Once we answer that, then we get to the actual principle. Yeah. So for you guys, what is so important about the education side of his social
he
life?
wants to go D1.
Okay.
And he's like a fan. I mean, he touched down in the state game.
Football?
Yeah. And he just in the Nixa touchdown in the state game. Like and he wants to go D1. You can't go D1 if you have below a 3.0.
Got it.
So because we know that, because we used to not have this rule.
Got it.
But because we know that now, and he also wants to go and socialize a whole bunch.
Yeah.
We put that guardrail in place with the weekly thing, not because honestly, I was a C&D student and I told him that. I said, Eli, I was a C&D student. Like, honestly, the fact that you have 2 C's, it really wouldn't matter if you weren't trying to get to where you are on scholarship.
Sure.
And so we're doing what we can
Okay.
to help that, you know?
Yeah, I totally get that. Okay, so then the preference then would be like the CD, whatever the range is, the 3-point. The 3.0 really is the preference, but the principle is that there is an overarching goal that he is trying to get to. So in those, like on a week-to-week basis, does it feel like you guys are like pulling teeth to get this done, or does it feel like it's like co-collaboration? Like he's on it, like he's like, yes, this is the goal that we're heading for. They are setting these boundaries to keep me towards that goal, or is it like a constant fight?
It's not a fight.
Great.
Ever.
Great.
I will say though, if I'm just being totally honest, and everybody who listens knows I'm a little more honest than I probably should be, but if I'm being totally honest, I kind of feel like we were too strict on that rule.
Okay.
But I also don't want to go back on it.
Why?
Because I'm like, well, because I don't want to be wishy-washy.
Okay.
You know?
Okay. Okay. This is so good.
Like,
This is so good.
Yeah.
Okay. So this happens all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, this happens in our house all the time too.
Yeah.
Where you set something and you're like, yeah, I feel good about it.
Yeah.
But then real life happens and you're like, this is feeling off.
Yeah.
It just is feeling off to me. Okay, cool. Then if you have a co-parent, I would have that conversation with a co-parent. Listen, I don't know what is off about this, but I'm not feeling aligned here. I don't know what's going on. And then if your co-parent is like, cool, me too, high five, let's go talk to the kid about it.
Yeah.
Bring that in. That goes back to that narration. Talk to him about it and be like, listen, Eli, we set this. This is the reasoning for it. We had a conversation about it. It sounds like you guys had a conversation about it, or probably multiple.
Yeah.
I just, as I'm reflecting on it, I just don't know that it's the best step for us as a family. I don't really know. It's feeling off to me.
Yeah.
So it's almost like, I mean, he will get this because he's a football player. It's like you're like laying out the playbook.
Yeah.
Right? You're like, okay, here's the play that we crafted, but it's not feeling good. Like I'm feeling out of pocket here, right? Like he will understand those things, right? So have that conversation with him and then be like, do you feel like it's this boundary is still setting you up for a win for D1? Do you feel like it? And then have a conversation about it. Come up with it together. That is not wishy-washy. Here's what we know about parenting, okay? There's this awesome cycle called the RIP repair cycle, okay? RIP is what happens on the daily, right? Like we lose it, we yell, we give the silent treatment, whatever it is. Like we're not showing up as our best selves, right? It happens all the time on the regular. So many times as moms especially, we get stuck in that and we lay our head down at night and we're like, oh, I'm the worst. I did it again. I yelled. Or I set a boundary and man, I feel like I came down way too harsh on my kid.
Yeah.
Okay. We cannot stay in the RIP. The RIP is where the emotion of guilt and shame, those emotions live. I want you to think about any motivational speaker that we know. If someone were to say like, hey, how did you get where you got? Or an actor, celebrity, whatever, professional athlete, how did you get here today? No one in the history of the world has ever said, well, every night I lay down and I'm like, you're the worst ever. You can't do anything right. You're awful. No one does that because guilt and shame are not motivating emotions.
Yeah.
So we go to the repair. And the repair looks like, in this instance, listen, Eli, Dad and I have talked. And is that the dynamic here?
Yeah.
Like you guys would talk. Okay. So Dad and I talked and we're just not loving it. We're not loving the boundary that we set. Would you be willing to chat with us about it?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's a repair there. If I totally blow it and I yell at him and I scream or whatever, I'm like, listen, bud, earlier today, I totally blew it. I was feeling so mad and I yelled at you. That is not how I want to show up and I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
I'm really sorry that happened. I'm not trying to over-explain. I'm not trying, I'm definitely not blaming like, well, because you did this, I yelled at you and I'm really sorry about that. That's not an apology. But here's what we know. Here's what the brain science shows. When we repair, there's actually a deeper neural pathway that is built in the brain.
Oh, that's so cool.
Isn't that amazing?
Yes.
So we're literally teaching our kids, hey, humans mess up. You will be in relationship with someone that messes up. And also we go back and we repair it. And we say, listen, I was really moody today. This is typically my repair. I mean, I do it on the regular.
Yeah.
My repair with my kids is typically like, listen, I was really grumpy this afternoon and I am really, really sorry. That is not the way that I want to show up. And I'm going to use the tools that I know to use tomorrow to make tomorrow a better day.
Yeah.
Cool, Mom. High five.
Yeah.
Let's go to bed.
Yeah.
Right?
That's so similar. I'm like, hey, mine is, especially in pregnancy right now with my hormones being everywhere.
For sure.
And I have to go back to them and say, that was not about you.
Yeah.
That me yelling had nothing to do with you. That wasn't your fault. That literally had nothing. It just happened to be you were in my wind at the time. and I'll be like, that was not about you. Right. Don't carry it. And then we go. And I, guys, I wish I could tell you that I don't have to say that more often than not.
Oh.
But I do.
For sure.
And I do think having those conversations with kids is teaching them how to show up for their future family and their future. And sometimes there is that like piece of what is normal in the world that wants to say, you shouldn't have done that. You shouldn't have shown your, but I also have a kid who says, I understand, I don't like it, but I respect it. You know what I mean? And so I do think that there is something there about being vulnerable, but there is those pieces where you do have to acknowledge it, like I did in this conversation with you, and be like, part of it does seem like, am I showing my cards? Am I, because we don't talk about this stuff enough to get that feedback loop of, do you think that was appropriate? Do you not think that was appropriate? And we're navigating these waters kind of internally because we don't want people to judge us. We don't want to look like we don't know what we're doing. And so parenting's hard. It's hard. And,
it is.
And we need a village and a community. And I don't know who I told, but that's why I bring it on the podcast. It's like, okay, I will talk about the things nobody wants to talk about.
For sure.
If it means we can all have some hope for tomorrow.
Yeah.
So
our kids do not need like armored soldier parents. They don't need that.
Yeah.
They need a human that makes mistakes and shows up differently next time and apologizes. Yeah. Shows empathy and compassion and grace, like all of those things. That's what our kids need. Think of a boss. None of us want a boss that is like suit and tie all the time,
right?
Like always perfect. Like nobody wants that. You don't feel safe in that environment, right? You're like, oh gosh, I hope I don't make a mistake. Yeah, that's not the environment that we're trying to create in our homes. Yeah. We're trying to create an environment where our kids feel here's what every kid needs, no matter the age. They need to feel safe. Seen, soothed, and celebrated. Yeah. That's what kids need. Okay. So think of that like buttoned up person who's always perfect, never makes the mistake, always is like, it's my way or the highway because that's just what I say, right? Because I don't want to show them my cards. As a kiddo, I for sure don't feel emotionally safe in that because it's like, oh, well, crap, mom never makes a mistake, so I can't. And I don't feel seen either because if I'm not willing to show who I am as a parent, my kid is like, oh, it's not actually safe to show who I actually am, right? Yeah. And then that celebrated part is just always, I mean, it's always necessary. Yeah. For us as well. I will say that absolutely. Too. For parents as well. Yeah. I always start my workshops with celebrations, especially with moms. It's so powerful because it is like, okay, what do you guys want to celebrate? It can be a big win, a small win. Typically, the first workshop, it's like literally, Megan, 2 minutes of silence. Yeah. Because we don't know how to do it. Right. We're so used to celebrating our kids that we're like, okay, it feels prideful. It feels really yucky in my stomach to say like what I'm doing well. Yeah. But then, man, my favorite part is that like, if we're on like workshop number 6, it is like, I cannot wait. Yeah. I want to go first. I'm celebrating because we can't build on what we're not willing to celebrate and own. Yeah. So I kind of went on a tangent there, but that's what our kiddos need. They need that safe, seen, soothed, and celebrated. No matter the age, they need that. Even even as teens, and even when they don't want it, Eli is not he's so funny because like it comes in little glimpses, like Evie, baby Evie's coming next month. Yeah. And he's not, I mean, he's a teenage boy. He's not going to get, but like we bought the stroller and he started like, messed around with the stroller. Like you see it in like little glimpses where he's just like a teddy bear on the inside. But I will make a point to hug him, even if it's not like super reciprocated or
And sometimes it is, but I want him to know, like, okay, even though you're still a teenager and you need your space, like, I just need to show you in some way, like, hey, I'm here, man. You know, and it's.
Do you, overarchingly, do you trust him? He sounds like a really responsible kid.
I do. I think because here's the deal. I know how I was as a teenager.
Okay.
My husband knows how he was as a teenager.
Sure.
And so we're just like, you're such a good kid. Like, is this possible?
Okay,
and so there is that, like, are you just doing it and then you're leaving? Which I know is not fair to him. And I have said this, like, Daniel and I have had this conversation. I have had this conversation with Daniel where I'm like, it is not fair to keep reflecting who we were onto our children and assuming that they're going to be the same way. So Jami, I want you to know that I'm fully aware of that.
Totally.
In certain moments, though, that I don't even know if it's like an insecurity, I don't know the word for it, but that comes in and I'm like, but he's leaving the house. So is he going to then do something? I don't know. Does that put words to what I'm trying to say? Like,
yeah, it just sounds like, and correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But it sounds like a lot of the parenting choices and the parenting inner dialogue you have is based in fear.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
And trying to navigate, but also why I have people come on the podcast, because I'm like, I can't be the only one navigating this.
Oh,
Like,
100%.
We've got to have these conversations. One, I need the help in these areas to navigate, like, okay, he is such a great kid though.
He sounds like it.
He is.
He sounds like such a sweetheart.
He is.
So the question why I asked you if you trust him is because, and it's you were like, yes, but the but is the fear talking.
Yeah.
So your initial response was, yes, I do trust him.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that I would, if I were you, I would lean into that and say, you know what? I trust who this kid is. I trust who we're raising him to be. Yeah. And I trust that he is going to speak up when he needs some support. And then you're going to pray like crazy that the Lord shows you like, hey, he's not okay here. Like, go with your mom gut. Okay. Yeah. So he just sounds like a really, really well-rounded kiddo. Yeah. And it sounds like you are sort of making yourself miserable a little bit with your inner conflict of like this overarching narrative of fear, which, Megan, it is so common. Yeah. It is so easy for us to like move into that fear energy because we're like, what if this, what if that, what if that? Anytime that we're going into what if, that is the energy of anxiety and fear because it's in the future. Okay. So anytime that I can hear myself, because I get this too, like I get caught up in like, what if that happened, blah, blah, blah. Okay. I'm in that what if loop. As soon as I catch it and I can hear myself going, what if, I'm like, oh, what if the tool is what is? Okay. In this moment. And it is literally, I do the mindful minute. So it is literally like 5 things I can see, 4 things I can touch, 3 things I can hear, 2 things I can smell, and 1 thing I can taste. And if I don't have anything to taste, I drink water. So that mindful minute, which many people know that tool. Yeah. But for me as a mom, I use that tool for when I catch myself in the what if loop. Yeah. Well, what if he's going out with his friends and like, what if he's like out? What if he's doing this? Okay. Yeah. What is? Okay. Right here in this moment, because that brings your brain out, it takes it out of that limbic emotional side and it engages your prefrontal cortex. That's your thinking brain. Yeah. So then you can be like, okay, I've done my mindful minute. Take a deep breath. Okay, what do I want to do now? Okay, I might text him or I might call him or I might just, send him well wishes and be like, okay, listen, he's gonna be fine. Protect him, Jesus. And then that's that. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Yeah. But I have found for me that what is such a great reframe. Come back to this moment, because this moment, everything's okay. Yeah. Right? That what if in the future, when my brain's in a totally different time zone, AKA the future. Yes. It's never pretty, right? Yeah. No. It's never. And it's literally just how I'm using my imagination. Like I can use my imagination for like the worst case scenario, which is typical for moms, right? Yep. Or we can bring back to this moment. Here's what's happening. All is well. I'm going to send him a text or I'm going to call him, whatever that is. Over communication for me is so much easier because I don't go into scenarios. Say more about that. Well, like Ellie, she over communicates. Okay. Like I said, like she'll everything telling you that girl will come home. This happened at this. There was a
party, or not a party, but it was like a Valentine's little girls sleepover. Yeah. And she came home. Well, she texted me that night and she was like, hey, I'm actually going to go ahead, if it's okay with you, stay the night at Kinsley's instead of here. And I was just like, okay, that's fine. And she was at this party. And the next day she comes home from the sleepover and I was like, why did you go to Kinsley's? And she's like, well, the mom wasn't home and the girls wanted to go outside. And I was like, did you go outside? And she's like, no. She's like, I tried to tell them all to come inside. Yeah. And so then they all came inside and she goes, so I had everybody get in the closet because there was a truck driving around.
Oh, okay.
And so she goes, I had everybody get in the closet and I put 911 on my phone. And she was like, wow. But she gives me all those details, Jami. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't have to wonder what happened because she will detail it out. Mm-hmm. And now she did get a talking to for not telling us that night, like in detail. And she didn't get in trouble, but we just said, hey, we love every step you took. We love that you stayed inside. We love that you didn't do peer pressure and go follow them. We love that you tried to get them inside. We love that you told a friend to call her mom several times because it wasn't safe, you know? Yeah. And so fantastic on her part. But we did let her know for the future, it is really important that you don't just say, hey, I'm staying the night at Kinsley's instead. We need the reason that night, just so that we could have came and got you. Totally. We could, you know. Mm-hmm. But again, because she's so detailed, I never have a narrative in my head with her. There's never a, was there more? Yeah. Was there less? Hey, what's going on? But that's because she's an over communicator. Yeah. Because Eli's an under communicator and more internal, it leaves more room for me to go, what are the scenarios? What's happening? What's not happening? Mm-hmm. Again, doesn't make it true. Yep. But under communication leaves room for thought. Over communication leaves no room for me to wonder. Yeah. And so that's just kind of where the two differ. And so it's me having to navigate just everything that we've been talking about, you know, and letting go of my own childhood and assuming that it's and giving him the space to be who he is. Totally. And I really need to give him the space and respect the fact that you're internal. It's who you are. Mm-hmm. And so it's growing. It's just growing as a parent. You know what I mean?
Totally. There's a couple things I want to say to that because we have very similar kiddos. It sounds like in that respect. Mm-hmm. I have one who like you would never, you never question what is happening in her brain because she will tell you everything. Yes. Then I said this and then that happened and then, oh, should I apologize for that? Like she is just she's just a processor. Yeah. And then we have another one who is kind of the opposite. So we do pretty consistent. And I was thinking through like your cadence. You could even do this weekly with him because it sounds like you guys, do you have like a little check-in about the grades and then what's happening next week? Mm-hmm. Cool. Yeah. So in that check-in, I would also start asking him a question. Here's the question we ask our kiddo who sometimes needs a little bit of help with just processing for my liking, right? Yeah. Where I'm like, I just want to make sure that you're doing okay. Yeah. So we will ask both of the girls, but specifically our older one, how are you experiencing me right now? Mm-hmm. What's it like on the other end of me right now? Oh my gosh, Megan. What a vulnerable question. Yeah. Because they'll tell you. Yeah. I mean, if they feel like it's safe to tell you, they will say like, well, I feel like you were really grumpy this week and I felt like you were nitpicky this week. Yeah. Okay, cool. What do you need from me moving forward next week? How can I better support you? Yeah. Those conversations are like, they are just game changers. Yeah. So I actually just had that conversation with her last night. So I just go in her room and I'm like, hey, what's it like on the other end of me right now? That's been really, really helpful for us because she will tell me or even just like, hey, what do you need more from dad and I right now? And Justin does a great job. Her dad, like he does a great job of also asking that. And you got to be okay. Like the deal is we learned this from, do you know Bob Goff? It's like so random, but he's like this author and he's like a joy battery is what Bob Goff is. He's not like in the parenting space, but he's written several books. And one of the books he said that he and his wife always did a what's your beef night. It was a monthly night where they would get takeout and then the kids could say, the kids had the floor and they could say, everything that happened that was like a miss in the parenting child relationship for the last month. And the deal was the parents could just, all they could say was thank you for that feedback. That's it. You couldn't argue. So we took that and then we've like tweaked it for our girls. And we do it more than once a month, but we will I often will say something to the effect of, what is it like on the other side of me? It's also a great question for marriage. Talk about vulnerability.
I love that.
Look at your husband and be like, hey, what is it like right now on the other side of me right now? That has been a really, really important question, specifically for me. My mom died in May, so and I was extremely close with her. So we're in the thick of it still, in the thick of grief. And I just want to make sure that while grieving as a daughter, I'm also supporting and taking care of my family and my kiddos specifically. Yeah. So that's a really vulnerable question, but I think it could be helpful for you. Yeah. Like if you're checking his grades on Friday, just habit stack that. You're already checking in with him and then say, hey, what was it like this week with me?
No, I love that.
What do you need differently from me? How can I support you better next week?
Yeah.
It's a game changer, Megan. It really is. Good.
I am.
Oh my gosh. I can't wait. I want you to update me and
I will.
Like, tell me how it's going. And for the first time, it'll be clunky and he's going to be like, what do you mean? Like, what the heck is that question? That's fine. Just continue to ask it. And there might be weeks that he's like, nothing. It was great. And then there might be weeks that he like gives you a full 60 seconds of like, blah, 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 blah. And you're like, great. Thank you for that feedback. Yeah. I'm really going to work on that. Yeah. High five. Let's get going.
I love that. No, I'm adding it.
I love it.
I am. And I'm going to tell my husband too. I'm going to be like, we both need to do this. Okay. You have to get going. So let me just give one scenario where, guys, I'm sorry we didn't get through these scenarios, but everything that she has said is perfection. So you're going to be walking away with enough. And some of these we've actually covered just naturally. So, okay, the motivation crash. I want to talk about this because this is very typical in my house. Okay. And I know with friends with teens, I know this is a very common trend, the motivation crash, where your teen only performs when coaches or teachers hype them up. Okay. And when they're benched or corrected, they shut down and want to quit. This isn't just, this is obviously, it kind of goes to athletics, but I'm talking in general, and so parents feel concerned about resilience, afraid of raising someone fragile, unsure how hard to push, and also not wanting to burn their kid out, for sure, but also knowing like you're not at your full potential. Yeah. So how do we navigate that conversation?
Okay, so this is how I typically, when I'm working with families, we create family values because every family is different and their family values will be different. For our family, we have set values and they are like on the wall, and it's not like a Hobby Lobby, like live, laugh, learn. Yeah. It's like real values. Like we have one that is called Eat the Frog, and that means something to our family. It's a Mark Twain saying. Anyways, one value that we have that we say often is win or learn. And what that culture, like what that value creates in a family culture is that accolades are awesome. High fives are great. Winning is awesome. And also, if you don't hit those marks, we're still learning, right? And so those conversations are what we have. Like we will have conversations around that of like, man, volleyball, that was rough. That was really rough. You guys had a loss. What'd you learn? Right? So that's the automatic question. Here's what that does in a scientific way that our kids aren't, they don't need to know the science behind it, but that we know as adults, there's intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation, outside and inside. Okay. That internal motivation is awesome. Like sparking that fire is super great. But it can be a learned skill, right? There is a reason that like high fives work and, playing time is like, that's a motivator for kids. There's nothing wrong with that. But naming that and saying like, hey, what makes you want to score that football, that touchdown? What makes you want to do that? Like having those conversations, and then he's totally at the age, I would say 11 and above, you guys can start having that conversation of like the different types of motivation, probably even earlier. But naming it when you're having those conversations of like, what went well today? Like he scored that touchdown in the state championship. How cool of a moment. Yeah. And also what was hard about that game? right? So having those conversations of the both and, it's really important for us as parents to point out the both and of life, that you can be celebrating because you got that touchdown, and also, did they lose?
They did.
Shoot.
I know.
And also they lost.
Yeah.
What a bummer.
Yeah.
But naming that, the both and, it's not either or, it's a both and, having those conversations around that. Like, it is not like all this, it's not all about performance.
Yeah.
But you've got to like really ask curious questions to get them to start, especially if you have a kiddo who is really motivated by straight A's, like all things that coaches say, the awards. It's very important to have those conversations around what are your learning experiences. You are winning a lot, and I love it, and we are celebrating you, and we are cheering you on. Tell me where you're learning in life.
Yeah.
And a kid is going to have, I mean, we can't be rock stars at everything. Right. So having those conversations around that is really awesome. For younger kiddos, we talk about building like this family culture of this idea of like both and. So roses and thorns, what was great about today, what was awful about today, high and low, sweet and sour, whatever you want to call it, peaks and valleys for teenagers. Yeah. But having that conversation of like what went really well today and what wasn't awesome today, and then what did you learn from it? Those are conversations that are just, it is not going to be like a one and done, right? Where you're like, oh my gosh, my kid is now like internally motivated all the time. These are just ongoing conversations. And also they need to see and hear you do it as well. Yeah. They need to hear, like at the dinner table, like if you have family dinner, they need to hear how you blew it at work today, or like how you totally missed it. Yeah. And then here's what I learned. Like they need that to be modeled. So for us, that's how we really navigate that idea. We always like bring it back to win or learn. We literally have it in our game room, like massive win or learn. So that's how we navigate that. Yeah. What questions do you have about that though? Or like what pushback are you like, well, that's not going to work because of this?
No, I think that is true. And I wonder, here's the thing, because it is such a trend among like friends of mine, I am wondering like, what is the thing that teenagers, but I guess as adults too, we're motivated by praise, but it really does seem like the shutdown, it's very, black and white. Like for teenagers, it seems like it's even more so. And it's just, my question that whole thing is why?
Well, I think also because the social world of an adolescent is so paramount that need of belonging is like front and center. Yeah. So then when I'm getting external rewards and people are praising me externally, that's just a mirror for me of like, oh, I belong. I'm doing okay. Yeah. That's okay. That's not, it's developmentally appropriate. Okay. And also though, that's what I'm saying. We need to also stack it with like and where are you learning? Yeah. Right? Yeah. Because also that can become, we've seen that, we hear stories all the time where that becomes a pressure point where kids are like, I can't, like, I always have to have the winning touchdown. Right? So part of the way that we cultivate like a well-rounded kiddo is to encourage them, try new things. Yeah. You know, I was reading this study, this has been several years ago, but it was a physical therapist, a sports physical therapist. And he was talking about how they are seeing, you might know this research because you have an athlete at home. It was new research to me, but we are seeing this trend where kids are getting hurt younger, like, because they're overusing these muscles and bone structures. Because like if I'm a pitcher and that's all I've done since I was 7 and now I'm in high school pitching every game, like a lot of rotator cuff surgery, all these different things. And the reason I love the research was because he was talking about how we are no longer raising like well-rounded athletes. It is very one sport specific athlete. And that was not how it used to be. I don't know about you. I was athletic. So I played volleyball, basketball, and track. Well, now it's like I'm a volleyball coach. And so now it's like, hey, you got to pick your sport at age 7, right? That's
exactly how it is.
That's the mentality.
It is.
And when we do that, we encourage kids across the board to just get really, really good at one sport. You're overdeveloping specific muscles. You're overdeveloping specific skills. And also what I loved as a coach, this research paper was talking about the need for a kiddo to also be a bench player. Like if I'm a stud football player, like I was a stud volleyball player, I never set the bench with volleyball.
Yeah.
I set the bench with basketball sometimes.
Yeah.
And I needed that. Like I'm a better, well-rounded individual. I'm a more compassionate athlete. I understand the game better when I can sit on the bench.
Yeah.
Like, but we don't have that mentality anymore.
We don't.
So also encouraging our kids to try, it doesn't have to be a sport, but also try something new that you would be really bad at first, just for the joy of like literally doing it. YouTube is great for that. Play that, like my kid's learning the ukulele right now. Yeah. Like just, there's so many great videos out there. Okay. I do have to say as an emotional wellness coach, always do YouTube with supervision. But I'm saying there's like so many hobbies that our kids could be learning. Yeah. I would also say encourage that as well, where it is like a beginner mindset. Yes. Cause your kiddo, he could probably like play football in his sleep at this point.
Yes. And and our biggest thing, my biggest thing is, if they can't trust you to handle yourself on the bench, then they can't trust you to handle yourself on the floor. Yeah. Where you're showing your true leadership and your true is on the bench.
It's so true.
But until we're blue in the face. But they don't, it's
and I totally get it. And I have compassion for it because I know my mom said the same thing to me. Like, being on the bench is like even better. Yes. So there is like some reflection where like time, when you look back on that, you're like, man, that was true. I understood the game so much better. And it made me a better athlete. Like it made me a better basketball player by sitting on the bench. But like my freshman year, like, and then being like my senior year, like, okay, cool. This is what we do. So anyways, but I do like the idea of encouraging our kids to try something new. And also though, that starts with us. Yes. They need to see us trying something new. Yeah. Right? Like, do you have a hobby? And I'm sure like moms everywhere are rolling their eyes. I don't have time for a hobby.
A couple years ago was like, I had gotten real sick. And during that time I was listening to the cello a lot. Yeah. And I was like, dude, I love the cello. I'm going to start taking lessons. So I went and rented a cello and started taking lessons. No, I'm real big on like, good for you. Like have your own stuff.
I love that. I love that. And it's so important for our kids too. And it doesn't have to be like one, well, I don't have time to take my kid to one more vocal lesson or whatever. Again, it doesn't, we live in a very resource rich society right now. Like they can find things with supervision on the internet to help them navigate and build like a new hobby, which is like, it's just so fun. Or even if it's just like Legos, like something where they are just doing it for the pure joy of doing it.
Well, I think too, and I'm going to add this, and then I'm going to have you tell us about the moms group but I want to encourage you moms, just having that being brought up. I think a lot of times we don't try new things because we think we're too old and it's silly. And I loved, like, it was so fun playing the cello. I wasn't great at it. I didn't but it was fun. It was like, and so I would encourage you, whatever it is that you're interested in, it's not silly and you're not too old for it. And even if it doesn't last very long, you at least tried it and realized, whatever. So being a mom does not mean you have to give up your identity.
This is so true. This is so true.
Okay. Tell us about Dream Center and the moms group.
Yes. Okay. So the Springfield Dream Center, we have a new program that we launched in February, and it's called The Village. And the idea behind it is that we really want to come around mamas who are in this motherhood journey. We're really focused on postpartum moms. So moms like right after that 12-month, from birth to 12 months. And also though, we have quite a few moms who are like moms of toddlers, preschoolers, elementary kiddos. Like it's becoming its own living, breathing group, which is so fun, but it's totally free. We meet on Thursdays at the Dream Center, 10:30 to 11:30. And it's a time we start everyone with celebrations. We celebrate, then we do a check-in with like how things are going. And then I teach like a specific tool, like a tool for your brain to regulate your brain or your nervous system, or anything regarding like the parent-child relationship. So I teach a tool, but we also partner with local organizations and have other people, experts in the community come in just to help give mamas the resources that they deserve. So even if it's just literally like, hey, I just need a coffee break so that my kid can have childcare. The childcare is right there. It's all background checked, vetted, volunteers. So even if it is literally like, I just need an hour midweek-ish to put my kiddo somewhere safe where I can just enjoy some other mamas. That's really the vision that we have had, and it's really beautiful. So Thursdays, 10:30 to 11:30.
Okay.
Anybody can come. We have childcare from 4 and under.
Okay.
So I would love it if anybody.
So
wanted
at the
to
Dream
bounce in.
Center,
At the
you
Dream
just walk
Center.
into like that gym area.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's in the